Hello and welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Cassidy O'Connor, Public Affairs Specialist with AAA Northeast. I'm joined today by Acting Corporal Roupen Bastajian of the Rhode Island State Police. So welcome, Corporal Bastajian.
Thank you for having me, Cassidy. It's great to be part of this important conversation. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Corporal Bastajian has been a trooper for 12 years and was a drug recognition expert from 2013 to 2017. Today, we're here to discuss what a drug recognition expert does and how they combat impaired driving. AAA Northeast and the Rhode Island State Police want to remind our viewers that the summertime is a dangerous time for teen drivers. The 100 deadliest days is a time period from Memorial Day to Labor Day, where teen crashes typically increase. Corporal Bastajian, thank you again for meeting today. First, I want to thank you for all the work you do on the roadways to keep us safe. It is so important and appreciated. And to start us off right away, let's start by what are the training requirements to become a drug recognition expert, and how does that differ from law enforcement officers who do standard sobriety testing?
Cassidy, thank you for joining us, and you guys have been doing an awesome job as well, and all the people that you're reaching in the schools and everywhere. So we appreciate that, and thank you for allowing us to work alongside you. It's been a great partnership. Drug recognition experts, I'm going to cut that down to DRE. Is an officer that's received specialized training and has been certified by the International Association of Chiefs of Police to evaluate suspects and to determine if a subject is impaired, what drug category or categories has caused the impairment. There are 7 different drug categories. There are thousands of drugs, but 7 drug categories, and everyone falls into one of those categories. And if the impairment is caused by a medical condition. To become certified as a DRE, there is a specific 2-week training program, and then an additional certification process that includes an exam and an extensive field work. In my case, I went to Maricopa County, Arizona, for my field work. While the DRE training relies heavily on the standardized field sobriety tests, DREs are trained to conduct systematic and standardized 12-step evaluation consisting of physical, mental, and medical components as well.
Yeah, so a lot of training, and DREs really know their stuff. But you and I both know from research and even just conversations that we've had with teens in those traffic safety programs that we've partnered on and talked to a lot of teens, that there are so many mixed messages around marijuana, right? Specifically is kind of the topic that we discuss a lot. A majority of millennials and Gen Z do not perceive marijuana to be a risk when it comes to driving, or as much of a risk compared to alcohol or distracted driving. So knowing how dangerous marijuana impaired driving is, what are some of those issues behind the wheel when the driver's impaired by marijuana that you would see as a DRE or law enforcement officer?
Well, there's some mixed messages out there, and I just want to be clear that the use of alcohol or drugs by teens is illegal, or anyone. A judge is the one who ultimately decides the penalties that accompany the traffic stop. But accident involving teens or alcohol or drugs often have tragic consequences. Marijuana significantly impairs the judgment, the motor coordination, and reaction time. We know that through all of the study that you see, and we see that roadside. The judgment, you see, delayed response because of the impairment that takes place, the reaction time. According to the National Institute of Health, marijuana is the illicit drug most frequently found in the blood of drivers who have been involved in vehicle crashes, including the fatal ones. So in Rhode Island, you can be convicted of a DWI, driving while intoxicated, for operating a vehicle under any of the following conditions. If your blood alcohol content is 0.08 or greater, that's the alcohol portion of it, or while you're influenced, or you're under the influence of any alcohol, drug, or a controlled substance, or with any amount of scheduled controlled substance, illegal drugs, or marijuana in your blood. So no matter how much you have in your blood system, you will be convicted of DUI under our current laws, the way it is right now.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we talk about when we talk with teens that is a good reminder for any of our viewers is just remember, if you feel different, you're going to drive differently. So any substance, any circumstance. So keep that in mind, viewers. Like Trooper Roupen Bastajian has been saying, absolutely. So if a police officer suspects that a driver's impaired, could you walk us through the steps that they would take to evaluate the driver?
Well, the good thing is we have our partners. I call them our partners. The motoring public that sees impairment often calls 911, and that's how we, get notified. So a lot of times people that see that, the citizens that are driving on the highways, they're the ones who call it, and we appreciate that. So if you are behind someone that you suspect is impaired, please continue to help the roads be safe by calling us. We do appreciate it. But if a police officer sees somebody having a difficult time maintaining in the lane of travel, they're crossing over the double yellow lines or the fog line or swerving back and forth. In some cases, it's so bad they hit the Jersey barrier, and you clearly know the person's impaired in that vehicle. You conduct a motor vehicle stop, and if it's alcohol, immediately you smell the odor of alcohol emanating from the vehicle, and you could sense that. Most of the time with marijuana, same thing. Everyone knows the odor of marijuana, in my opinion anyway, is awful, and it's very distinct, and you can smell it even when you're traveling behind the car. You could smell it from the car in front of you. So when you get any of these indicators and the speech or the conduct of the motorist is off, you can ask them to exit the vehicle to give them standardized field sobriety tests. And it's, at that time, you go through the tests, and every police officer, trooper, they are given they know how to give the standardized field sobriety test, which is judging impairment, and impairment is impairment, period, no matter how it is. The difference of the DRE is to be able to actually pinpoint what caused the impairment, whether it was the alcohol or the drugs, and what type of drug.
Right, absolutely. And so at what point would that DRE get involved with the traffic stop?
So if a trooper stops a vehicle, in our case, I'll use a trooper, and he's not a DRE. Right now, I'm currently not certified. So if I stop the car and I know it's not alcohol because I don't see the signs for alcohol impairment, I don't smell the alcohol. The person clearly says, I didn't smoke. I stand corrected. I didn't drink anything. I only smoke weed, or I could smell the weed. And I know it's not alcohol because I don't smell any alcohol. I don't see the indicators for it. I can give my standardized field sobriety test at that point, which I would. If they fail the standardized field sobriety test, then I'm going to bring that person back. I would bring them back. And if I want to cross out the fact that there's no alcohol, I could put them on the breathalyzer. That was one rule of thought, that, you can do that, and then have the DRE come during that time, because I've already contacted the DRE and said, hey, I have someone who's impaired. Can you please come to do an evaluation? Now, if the DRE was on scene or came, you don't have to give the breathalyzer. You can have the DRE take over and give the additional tests, whether it be the modified or Romberg test, or, so that they could get, eyelid tremors, leg tremors, different indicators that come from marijuana impairment that you will not have from alcohol impairment. So the DRE could be on scene, it could be at the barracks before, it could be after, so it's whatever fits. If you clearly know someone has no alcohol, there's no purpose in putting them behind, having them use the breathalyzer.
Yeah, it makes sense. But, every law enforcement officer, like you said, being trained in to do that standard field sobriety test, they can kind of do that elimination process, kind of rule things out. Makes sense. Absolutely. Yeah. So we know, that impaired driving is impaired driving. It is dangerous. It's harmful to the driver and others on the roadway. We know that there's consequences, but are there any, what are the consequences for impaired driving, and any specific for teens?
Well, the rights for use at station that we read, I have one in front of me. It's a pretty lengthy document. And it's broken down into, first offense, second offense, third offense, and it escalates each offense. And the fines will be ranging. A judge decides the sentencing and based on a number of factors. So it's difficult to answer that clearly. Was there a fatality, serious bodily injury, first offense, which offense it is? But I'll read this because I think it's important for everyone to know. Suspension of driver's license of privilege to operate a vehicle, 6 to 12 months, fine of $200 to $500, public community service of 10 to 60 hours, a course of driving while intoxicated and or drug, alcohol or drug treatment. So those are some of the fines that you have. In addition to that, all violators pay a $500 highway assessment fee, $200 department chemical testing fee, a $350 license reinstatement fee. So as you could see, that the cost continues to just go up and up and up and up. And so not only is it cost a lot financially, it costs a lot. You lose your license, it takes your freedom away. And I think in 2021, having Uber, Lyft, and every other thing you can imagine, it just doesn't make sense not to take that avenue. I'm not encouraging for people to go get impaired, but use your brain if you are, and protect yourself. You could be. Most drunk drivers are not criminal, like bad people. They commit a crime, so it's a criminal activity that day, but they're not bad people. They don't intend to go do something bad, and sometimes it could turn to be really bad, and someone passes away, and there's a loved one, and everyone we know has someone in their life that they've lost, or know someone who's lost someone or seriously injured by a drunk driver. So I think when you take those things into consideration, we can use factors to avoid it, minimize it, and lower it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, good people that just made a bad decision or a bad choice. So, life is about choices. So really, we want to give you the best information. So we're so happy that that Corporal Bastajian could join me today so I could provide this information for you. I do think, when we talk to a lot of teens, some of the questions or comments we hear sometimes that are misconceptions are that there are no way for law enforcement officers to tell if I was impaired by marijuana. So a lot of those misconceptions, I'm glad that we could, be here to debunk some so our teen drivers can make the best safe choices. And like you said, Uber, Lyft, there are so many options. So just teens, reminder to be very safe this summer. Reminder that, driving is a privilege. It's not a right. So take that responsibility, be safe, be sober, and focus on the road. Okay. So thank you all for tuning in today. Again, my name is Cassidy O'Connor, AAA Northeast. If you have any more questions, you can visit AAA.com/community to reach us or inquire about any other topics. So thank you again.
Cassidy, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.